right. Town council special meeting. Can I get a roll call, please?
Newman present.
Holloway present.
Buda present.
Grossman present.
Ashworth present.
Buckles present. All right. Establish a quorum. Can we have a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sound like liberty,
Liberty, bibbity.
All right. Do we have any public comments?
No one has signed up.
Okay. Got order of business. Got presentations from Coastal Vista Property and discussion. So Chris or Bob?
Rick, is that on? Yeah. So Rick has asked me to just do a brief introduction before you hear from Coastal Vista. I think you all know Chris Carbaugh. If you don't, that's Chris Carbaugh. So we put out an RFP, gosh, I guess it was back in October or something like that, for workforce housing development on the town-owned parcel of about 16 and a half acres between Old Casat Parkway and Old Cape Charles Road. We got 4 proposals. Town manager convened an evaluation committee. We actually have 4 members of the evaluation committee here tonight, beside Rick and myself. Planning director Katie Nunes, and the town council was represented by Paul Grossman. We also had Bill Stram, head of the planning commission, and Jay Abella from Main Street. I think that was it. Oh, I'm sorry, John Burtis from the County Economic Development Authority. We got 4 proposals, evaluated them, winnowed it down to 3 initially. 1 really wasn't quite responsive to our needs. And then 2 of those collapsed into 1. And we were down to 2 finalists, and we had previously briefed you on those 2 finalists, and we have 1 finalist right now. So with that, Chris.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Carbaugh, one of the partners with this project. Also with me is one of my partners in many other projects that we've worked with in Maryland and Delaware, and now Virginia, is Jay Berge. Jay Berge is also was instrumental in bringing Taylor Bank to Cape Charles, so that name may ring a bell. But I'd like to commend town staff and this board for taking the steps to address the need for workforce housing in our community. I want to just, before I get into the presentation, this was interesting to me. We were working on some stats on what I would call workforce housing, and this is some numbers for all of Northampton County. We had a recent meeting. I just wanted to get an idea of what was out there that might fall within the workforce housing realm. Right now in the MLS, we get multiple listing services in Northampton County. There's only a total of 9 homes on the market between $200,000 and $299,000. 1 of those homes has potential septic issues. 3 of them are 95 years old, and 2 of them are 50 years old. In the 300 to 399 range, there's 10 homes on the market. 5 of those are 96 to 200 years old. 1 is an efficiency condo in Cape Charles. 1's a double wide, and 1 is sold as is with septic issues. So that is the extent of housing.
What was that price range?
In 300 to 399.
For a double wide?
Yeah. So that is all that's on the market right now. So, it's apparent we do have a housing crisis. If you want to go to again, just a little background. You know, I've been in the land planning, engineering development business for about 25 years. I own the Atlantic Group and Associates out of Berlin, Maryland. We do planning, permitting for projects in Maryland, Delaware, and Virginia. And again, Jay Berge, he's a professional accountant. You know, he's been, you know, partners with us and has developed hundreds of multifamily units in the Ocean City area. The willingness to identify a parcel suitable for workforce housing, you know, followed by this request for proposals for such a development is an action I do applaud you for. Our group understands how important workforce housing is to our community. The project is, you know, that we're proposing is intended to provide a housing alternative where families, those in careers that support our community, can live and work while enjoying a high quality of life found in Cape Charles. When people have access to affordable housing, they can live near their workplaces. They can and do support our local businesses. They develop a vested interest in their town. They become integrated into the social networks and bind our communities and make them great places to visit and work. We understand that workforce component of any project must be long-term, an obligation that we are committing to provide workforce housing units for a minimum of 20 years. We are aware that Cape Charles does not need more short-term rentals. They must be prohibited. And finally, it's understood that the sewer must be extended to serve this project. We understand there's currently no funds available or in place to move forward with a sewer expansion project. As part of our proposal, we proffer to be responsible for the force main extension necessary to serve the project. So just a general, you know, project overview. Based on the understanding from the RFP, we evaluated numerous housing concepts of how to best utilize that property and found the best product to likely be a 1/1 product. So basically what that is we've taken a townhouse and divide that into a first and second floor unit. This approach allows us to significantly lower the cost, making at least 50% of the units fall within the workforce housing parameters, whether rental or purchase. The proposal is to construct 170 1/1s. A minimum 50% shall qualify as workforce. The remainder would be market rate housing. And to do that, why we do that is, you know, really we can hopefully bring down the cost of the workforce units by adding some market rate into the project. The property will utilize a professional management company to qualify residents, but also to manage and maintain the property. So just to give you a little overview of, you know, what the 1/1 product is like, that would be your, you know, conceptual elevation of the front of the building. Again, it's a stack of basically 5 townhomes where we have a first floor unit and a second floor unit, so you basically have 10 units in each building. Just to give you an idea of the floor plans, you know, again, you come in your first floor unit, you could have an option for a 2 or 3 bedroom with your great room and kitchen. You know, it's a unit that, you know, probably would range in the area of 900 to about 1,100 square feet per unit. We have a couple other conceptual floor plans. Obviously, during, you know, the finalization of this project, we would kind of tweak these a little bit to make these work best for the project, but this is another alternative of what the floor plans could look like. That's a first floor, and then the second slide would be kind of what the second floor layout would look like. Here's just a couple images of, you know, the interior of a 1/1 product. to give you a feel of what that unit would look like, but they're nice units. I mean, it's a great product that, again, we can come in here, we think can be a product that we can offer in the 2s and low 3s based upon today's pricing. You're doing good. I knew I didn't need that PowerPoint. But this is your property, as Bob mentioned, over on Cassett. I think this is a pretty good, efficient layout for the property. Again, this would require a rezoning. We would have to likely come in with a planned unit development to make a project like this happen. This does illustrate how the 170 units would be laid out on the property. You can see how we've, made sure to incorporate some community amenities. I think that's important for our workforce. As you come in on the right, you see a small clubhouse, community pool, playground, and again, lots of open space. I mean, this plan, even though we're talking about 170 units, you're looking at over 40% of the property being retained in open space. 2 parking spaces per unit, so making sure we have ample parking for the project. But also in talking with staff, we understand there also needs to be another component, a commercial component, that's part of the property or the project. Therefore, we thought it might be a good idea with any multifamily project, it's typically a good idea, is to provide a separate area for boat and RV storage. So that's what we have proposed in the back of the property. It would be a phased project. Likely, we think the first phase would be out on Cassett. We have some phasing lines on our exhibit to where the first phase would allow for, about 60 of the units.
Yeah.
A second phase for about 50, and then a ultimate third phase of about another 60 units. So again, that's what we think to be a great opportunity for our workforce. Obviously, we got some more refinement to do with the plans, working with staff, Planning Commission, I'm sure, and your board, but we're thankful to have the opportunity to work on this project and think it would be a big asset for the town. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
What's the target rent?
Target rent, well, I mean, it's obviously got to fall within those parameters of workforce housing. So, that's 60 to 120% average median income is what we will target for the 50%.
Right.
Did I see some of these would be for sale as well as for rent?
Well, that's what we think it would be a good idea to provide that opportunity for someone that actually wants to, buy a home and, build value. So, we do think some of these should be market rate for sale, but also workforce for sale.
That was my next
Yeah.
question.
And can you review, you said I didn't see it, maybe I missed it, the phases.
There-
What,
It's the
where's
dotted
that?
lines. You got phase 1.
I just couldn't, I
You
just.
blow it
I-
up, you have to.
Yeah, if you came in and made, your left or went around the roundabout, what's facing Cassett would be
Phase 3's over here.
like the first phase. And what we try to do is also make sure that we're taking, into account fire access and such, and we went to where we can kind of loop around. It's not a dead-end parking lot. So paying attention to those details as well. Everything would be so that you could turn around with an emergency vehicle,
Right.
phasing-wise.
And so what I missed was the, how many units in phase 1?
60.
Okay.
When you talk about emergency, it looks like there's only one entrance to the property, other than the commercial space.
Right.
Do you have any concerns about, with an emergency, that you may need more than one?
I find that's typically acceptable for this size project. Obviously, you can look at, Bay Creek, it's a very large project with one access point. But, again, I think that's sufficient for this. The more access points you bring onto a project, the more costs you add to that project. I mean, working with VDOT can get quite expensive, and we just want to pay attention to try to keep the cost as reasonable as possible. Off-site improvements are a big part of our projects and the cost.
Well, VDOT ultimately will determine whether or not one is acceptable, right?
Well, I
Traffic
mean,
studies or whatever.
typically, they do not get involved with that if there's not a county or town code that requires more than one entrance after so many units. Basically, like I said, I think one for 170 units is what you would typically see.
And quite honestly, this is better than the Bay Creek scenario, because the fire trucks couldn't even turn around in a cul-de-sac. So this is a big circle. So I think this would be a lot safer.
Yeah, each one of those parking lots kind of been designed to provide good turnaround opportunities for emergency vehicles.
Do you envision modular at all or stick build?
Oh, it'd all be stick-built.
All stick build?
Is the plan to start the next phase when the?
A certain percentage would be, yes, built out. You would,
Not full, just,
correct.
okay.
And Kara, that will be specified in the development agreement,
Okay.
that when we start with, all these details will be, you'll have a chance to speak into that.
Including how many would be for sale versus rent?
Yeah, I mean, when we first talked about that, I mean, we just want to see really what the demand is
Sure.
with rentals versus sales. But I think it's important to have both opportunities.
Absolutely.
What determines the AMI that you use? Like you said, 60 to 120, like what?
Well,
Is that based on?
the general principle is, basically 30% of your average income, median income, can be allocated to, your housing.
Right.
So that's how we look at that as far as what we could do for rents or for the sale of the units. Whatever they could allocate to the rent or to the mortgage.
And to me, that's all determined in our contractual agreements.
Yeah.
Right.
When we talk AMI, because you could be talking AMI using the US Census numbers or the HUD numbers, which are vastly different. And it's broken up by numbers of people in the home. So when we talk AMI, typically 60% always refers to a family of 4. But there's a table that says family 1, 2, 3, so the table needs to be factored into, and we need to understand and agree to the particular parameters that is being used for that.
So are we saying that for a two-bedroom unit rented by one person, the rent would be?
Well, that's what we'd have to work out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
all I'm
But-
saying
But then
is,
now two people, the rent could be higher for the same unit because it's two people.
correct.
So it's not by unit.
Yeah,
it's-
this table goes up to, I think, 10 people within the home, and they're expecting multiple people working and therefore higher income levels. But yeah, the table is spread out 1 through 10. 60%, 120%, and provide numbers.
So where in this whole process does, say, someone who purchases a unit based on an adjusted median income number, and that's just my ignorance, I don't know, what prevents them from securing the unit, purchasing it, and then 2 years later selling it at market value?
Because there would be a condition in there for them to sell the house, they had to sell it to someone else who qualifies.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
Bingo.
But up to
That's
a
my question.
20-year period.
For that 20-year period that we're stipulating that this has to, that whatever workforce housing units have to be workforce housing, yes, they have to be, if they're sold to someone else, they have to qualify to purchase that unit, yes.
So you better plan on living there a long time.
Have you put this same concept into place with these particular looking units elsewhere?
We've been trying all over the Eastern Shore of Virginia.
Yes, that idea.
Determined?
I'm wondering where my friends are.
You're feeling kind of lonely tonight, aren't you?
You notice, this is a little bit,
I
this is a
mean,
little
this is,
more warm and
to
fuzzy.
be honest with you, this is a very new product where we're trying to get innovative, taking a townhouse, and, you know, that would typically be that $500,000 to $600,000 unit that we'd sell to one individual. So we're trying to say, listen, if we split that in half, you know, now we're getting something that is what we call the most affordable product we can provide through new construction. I mean, we can't solve everybody's,
Right.
you know, housing issue, but, you know, from a new construction standpoint, with development cost, you know, land costs, things of that sort, this is what we're finding to be the best opportunity, and that's why we're trying to bring it to so many communities here, because everybody's telling us this is what they need. But it always doesn't go so well.
They don't
So,
want-
so in your,
in
in
the
your,
backyard.
plans for only up in Accomack, you have what looks like townhouses, but is it anything, you have a variety up there.
We have everything going in there. So
But
right now,
Are these there?
we're
at all?
proposing those in the new portion that's under review right now by the county in the Duncan Manor portion.
Is that item 8 or category 8? It looks like,
Actually, no, we don't have any 1/1s planned in that Coastal Square portion. So we have another application before Accomack County right now for some smaller single-family lots and for the 1/1 product in
Okay.
that
Is that
project.
over by the cemetery or over by the county?
You know where
county-
John Custis is doing his housing there in the back of his office
Yeah,
building?
over by Forest Place.
So just basically west of that
All right.
area is where we're proposing a 1/1 product
All right.
for that. But we are proposing these in, you know, every project we're proposing right now, because again, I think that's our best opportunity to bring the most affordable workforce, you know, product we can into our projects. And we think, you know, that this is a new trend. We almost need to provide this in every project. I mean, we're gonna have market rate and still try to have that higher end product in most of our projects. But, you know, we see how important it is and how hard it is to get financing, get people qualified to get homes, and where rates are. It's just, if we don't do this, we're not gonna, you know, solve any problems.
So do you have any in Delaware or Maryland?
Not that we've done yet of this product. We've, you know, replicated some of the ideas, you know, that have proved to be successful, you know, in Delaware. This is where we first learned of that product
Okay.
and decided it'd be a good fit for down here on the Eastern Shore of Virginia.
and they've been built for a while now. Or-
And what appliances come with the rental ones?
Your typical, you know,
Like the
washer,
washer,
dryer,
dryer, all of that
stove,
is included?
refrigerator, yeah. Mhm.
And utilities separate, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, we can look into that, but yeah, likely each unit's gonna have its own meters, yeah.
How long would it take, once permits and everything are done, to build a phase? What is that?
I would say you're probably, you know, looking at, after we have all the permits, you're looking at probably, for the first building to go up, about 12 months.
Yeah, you're gonna build a phase, but each block,
Yeah,
once the block's done, it's good to go.
Yeah, the hope would be, I hope to be able to sit down with staff and try to figure out if there's a way we can get something, at least a building going quicker. You know, because, you know, again, traffic studies and, you know, all the permitting, I mean, it's taking us typically, if things go fast, 18 to 24 months to get all permits in place. So it's not easy these days to get a project ready for the shovel.
All right, so just following up on that, I was looking at the only Accomack project, and you've submitted a whole bunch of plans relative to erosion control, you know, lighting and infrastructure and what have you. But I see it's posted on the town website, or the county website, as far as what those plans are. So I may be able to pull them up and take a look at, pretty impressed with what you got. But I see things ending in August of 2025. And there hasn't been any postings, and on some of those postings, it says, right or wrong, permit expired. So can you give a rundown on where you are relative to that project?
The only thing that's held up that project is they switched gears on us on water service 3 times. So it first was going to be provided behind the Chesapeake Square Shopping Center through an easement that was already granted, that the county had, that was going to be run past the hospital. Well, as we were finalizing everything, that was one of the last things we had to get approved. The county decided they didn't want to be in the water business. So then they had us move to another easement in working with the town of Anacog. And the town manager, Matt Spuck, who's now in Northampton County, to an easement that was across from Fairgrounds Road. So we went in there, we did all the work and design there. Unfortunately, we found out there wasn't room to put it in there because of other utilities. So then we had to move to another location down to Hall Street in town, bring water up through numerous properties, down VDOT right away. So all those changes, we've basically gone through 3 submissions for the water service, and it delayed the project significantly. So we are addressing the latest VDOT comments right now on the water alignment that's planned to move forward with. But, you know, again, when you get a project off track like that, and then, again, what they basically put the responsibility on us to figure out how to get the water there, I mean, it's not easy to overcome, and it can delay a project by several months. Submitting projects, you know, it takes a month or 2 to get comments back. You know, it's unfortunate. So that's what happened with that
So
project.
when do you expect that will shovel in the ground for any of those?
We were hoping this summer, but, you know, we're running into capacity issues with Duncan Manor. That's another issue that's come up with sewer.
What is that one?
So that was our single-family product that's being proposed in Duncan Manor. It's been brought to our attention within the last 2 weeks that they're running into capacity issues now with the Anacog plant. Now that they've allocated so much sewer to the different towns, Wachapreague, Exmoor, you know, and so on. But, you know, that was, we were hoping to have that portion of some single-family lots available this spring. But now we're trying to overcome, again, infrastructure needs for the project. Again, once Coastal Square has its permits for water, you know, we're close to being able to pull the trigger.
Okay.
But the important thing to understand is, you know, again, as a land developer, you know, we also then got to coordinate everything with our building partners, where we don't do all the building here, you know, this is a good sized project for us, but on these other bigger projects, we got to coordinate everything with our building partners to get a project like that going.
Okay.
So with all those projects going, how do, you know, it's a lot of balls in the air, plates spinning on, you know, do you have the capacity to add all of this on top of that and keep us moving along?
I'm hoping this is a very simple, straightforward project, and especially because I don't see a lot of people behind it.
They wake up later.
So, I mean, listen, I mean, now that I've moved here, been here 2 years, you know, I know how important this is. You know, we've always wanted to try to do development in the Cape Charles area. I mean, this is, you know, something we've always looked forward to. So, you know, we're excited about this. I think this can be a straightforward project. I think, you know, we'd like to sit down and figure out how we could fast track this. You know, and again, as far as the projects, I mean, of the 4 bigger projects I got going on the shore, they're all different partnerships. Yes, I'm kind of the person part, you know, partner but managing those projects, but they're all different groups. And, you know, really it's just the permitting and the time it takes. You know, yeah, we got to sit and wait on a lot of things to happen to get those done. And, you know, you're working all the different projects at the same time, trying to keep them on track the best you can. But, you know, I'm hoping this is a straightforward project. You know, once we get the, you know, the plans to get the sewer there, building by building, I would hope this could go pretty fast.
Let me make a comment on that. Unlike some of the challenges of water and sewer on the other projects, water's gonna be in that northwest corner, right next to the property line. That's why you put
Right by
the
the
pool
pool.
there,
Right by the pool.
So, and that's, that contract has been let by BAW, waiting on just one more easement. Construction should start soon.
Sweet,
And
right in the middle of summer.
And the sewer line is fully engineered and even blessed by VDOT, believe it or not. Now, you'll have to, that blessing probably is expired, I don't know if they've got an expert on that. But we've advanced those two pieces pretty far.
Plus our sewage plant's not at capacity. It's not, our sewage plant's not at capacity. American Water,
No.
it's not.
Yeah, I see a lot more of the pieces of the puzzle already put together here. You know, I think we've had to figure out a lot of things that are above and beyond on some of these other bigger projects. I mean, because it's never really been done here. And, you know, like I said, they make us responsible for, you know, figuring out things when decisions are changed or they're not sure how they want to go about it. I mean, it just unfortunately adds more time than we'd all like. Trust me, we all want projects to go as fast as we can. We are paying monthly on everything we do. So I'm sure you can understand the longer we, you know, delay a project, the more expense we're going to have.
Do you want to mention the VDOT requirement?
Yeah, I mean, that's
new for them.
we will have to do it because it's a rezoning. The VDOT will require a traffic impact study. So, like I said, even though we don't have this contract, we've been working on this already. We've obtained proposals to start the traffic study. We've done survey work. We've done our aerial mapping to get our topo done of the property. So we've gone out on a limb a little bit here and said, let's try to get this ball rolling as fast as we can. So we have started some work. But yes, VDOT's going to be a big thing. I mean, I can tell you it's a big part of the expense of any development project is what they're putting on us these days to
Especially when
do
they're
not just our entrance, but if they believe there's any off-site, you know, improvements necessary, they take advantage of a developer and say, we need you to take care of this. So hopefully we don't run into any major improvements they put on us. Because again, unfortunately, it just adds cost to the project. Therefore, you know, the cost of the units sometimes have to go up if they put too much on a project. So hopefully we keep that to a lower, you know, level.
So where on your aerial map there, does VDOT responsibility end? You come in off the entrance and does it end or does it go through?
No, it can go to any intersection in the, you know, where they say traffic can go, they can say, listen, you gotta be working on intersections miles away. I mean, maybe down by the
But I'm
cemetery.
saying, that's outside, but I'm saying within your development.
No, within that, no. I mean, they basically will have jurisdiction over the entrance,
Right.
basically back to where the parking
Right.
probably starts for the amenity area. After that, it can stay private. Yeah.
So it's possible they could say, we want a turn lane.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, I would be surprised they put a turn lane in there because they didn't do it at Bay Creek when they put Casat Parkway in. They didn't do it there, so I would be surprised if they make Chris do that. I would be really surprised.
But people change.
Yeah, I know.
There are
but
different people in the
Waiting
position.
on that one for a minute, just because there was always a road plan when the PUD was originally created for Bay Creek, and then when that road finally did come, it was within the same scope and intended layout of that road from the original PUD. They did have to refresh and update the traffic impact study, so the road still went in. They still required Preserve to update that traffic impact study. That took almost 30 months for that study just to be updated. Just to confirm, no other improvements were needed. Just to make you aware of that.
Rick,
And what triggers this
that's where you
for
come in.
Chris in almost any development, it's not, it's the rezoning aspect that triggers the traffic impact study, because this is presuming we're rezoning, especially to a higher density. That wasn't in our original plan. When we did the comp plan, when we did our zoning map, VDOT looked at the first time and said, okay, your road pattern system is okay with what your land use plans are, but a rezoning, especially to a higher density, triggers a renewal and a refreshed look at your traffic.
Did Lance have to do that next door?
No, he did not, because of where he was in lack of a plan of development, seriously. So VDOT did not require him to have to do that. It will be required once we finally get
Okay,
plans, construction plans
gotcha,
submitted.
gotcha.
And what I will also say is what we find is if VDOT believes something else is happening in the area, they will put the impact of that project into their decision. So like this growth that's happening in Bay Creek, they could say, listen, we don't know when Bay Creek's gonna be pulling the trigger, but we know they're growing and there's more traffic associated with that. We need you to take care of this now, and they can put that responsibility on us. That's,
Well,
All
is
of
that-
Bay Creek's growth and its plans, that's all captured, so there's no further road improvements required from Bay Creek's development, which is
fingers crossed.
As of now.
You heard it here.
As of today.
Can you write that down for me?
Can I just ask you a quick question about what's the HOA structure? If you've got essentially three different categories of residents here, you've got market rate, residents, owners, tenants, affordable tenants and affordable owners. How does that?
Well, we've been thinking about that a little bit, in that, chances are we do see we might want to divide this up to maybe like the front portion, that first phase, maybe be an area of rentals, and maybe the ownership is in the back.
Yeah.
We might try to figure out how we could divide that up, or maybe it's, the ownership's around the pond in the middle. We're going to think about that a little bit, but they will all have a responsibility to the common overall HOA of the project. So,
At an equal fee structure?
yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Any more questions? Thanks for the presentation.
Yes.
No,
Thanks
thank
for bringing
you.
this to us.
Looking forward to working with you all.
All right, B has been
Well,
pulled.
hold it. Do we want to talk about next steps here?
Oh, sorry. Yes, next steps. Sorry, Paul.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Yes.
See, you want to stay and listen to the next steps.
So Rick, did you want to go through the one that you just handed out? This was separate,
Yeah, I've got a detail.
three options and another one.
I'll go through the detailed sheet first, because I think
Go ahead, go
it's
ahead.
good for
Whatever.
council to understand what is required through the process. So there's three big things that we're gonna have to work through. The first one is a rezoning of the whole parcel, which we kind of talked about, it going from an R3 to a PUD. The good thing about it is we have one right beside it that we've already approved. So we have a model, we've talked to Chris already, this seems to possibly work. Even if it has to be tweaked, we have a model. So, but he didn't see any problem of even using this to accomplish what he's looking for. So that could save us significant time, but that would be the first thing, we have to rezone. The second is we're required by Virginia State Code, section 15.2-1800B, which requires an ordinance that, because we're gonna sell the property, so we have to do a public hearing in order to dispose property. It goes into, there's kind of different classifications of what we have to do, whether it's a simple majority versus super majority. This would require just a simple majority because it's not waterfront and, the specialized wharfage and selling, it goes to great detail. We would fit the first category. So we would have to do that. And then the third is a developmental contract, which I'm used to calling a developmental agreement. But it's the same thing. We have to work out a contract with the developer. And that will include these things. So it's a rezoning, a conceptual site plan, architectural concept, mix of unit sizes, ownership, the ownership versus rental mix, the targeted AMI versus price, phasing real estate. All the things we talked about today will all be spelled out specifically in that developmental agreement that you guys would be talking about, seeing. It would go through many phases of public hearings and also through the planning commission and you all for approval. So those are the three things that has to go forward.
Just to add to, going through some of those myself, AMI, conveyance of land. We're going to have to structure this where we convey land as building occurs, such that we don't just give everything away for anything.
Right.
And that could be spelled out also in the development.
Construction sequence, what comes first, market, rentals,
Correct.
what have you.
You will have opportunities, they'll probably bring concepts in the negotiations. We will
Right.
bring that, we will hear from you what the ideal, and then is that possible? Is it feasible for them to do? And that will be a negotiation process.
And the last major thing I had there was holding the contract, the developer accountable. He builds phase one, and then for whatever reason sits. What does the town have in a way of penalizing, or I don't know what the answer, but that has to be factored in as an issue here. And it's a little different. We're giving land to the developer as opposed to just selling it and then saying, go at it, and if you want to sit on it.
Yeah, so they'll have some responsibility to us.
Right, right.
So I know, I couldn't let Katie speak into this. In Colorado, there was a bond that we would require, that we would build,
That
like
could
we
be.
used to build
There you
out
go.
if they didn't do it. Not
There
sure
you
if
go.
that's required in state of Virginia.
We could require that under this performance agreement.
Okay. So there are measures in order to put in place.
And that's all I'm saying. I
Yeah.
don't need to solve it here, but there's a bunch of stuff that needs to go into this agreement.
Definitely. So we got a couple options. I think the one that, as I've heard from you all many times, is you would like opportunities for the public to give feedback. So I think that that's gonna be a part where I sent you upcoming, you know, what our council meetings are, and I have a placeholder that we could do a town hall opportunity to let the community see this and give us feedback from that. I think this is a great opportunity. We've also had a meeting with the Bay Creek POA already to discuss with them. We want to get ahead of, you know, are we hearing things? Because I've not received any feedback at all from emails, texts, or people who come into my office to meet with me, nothing. So I'm like, I'm not hearing any,
Well, it's obvious.
Because it hasn't been publicized,
yeah, haven't.
right? It hasn't been public until tonight, right?
Well, we've had many
We
discussions,
talked about it for a
even
while.
committee meetings about it.
Yes, we have, but it hasn't been publicly stated that we were moving forward with this group, correct? That's why we had tonight's meeting.
Yeah, this was the first night we said who we chose.
Correct. So of course you haven't heard anything yet, I think.
Well, it's been in our agendas, so it's not like this is gonna be brand new.
The concept
Correct.
concept and the
Right.
research and the
So
committee
this
work,
is the first time
but the
we-
choice is, tonight was the announcement of that.
All right, all the more reason for town hall to follow, right?
Correct.
That's what we're,
So what
What
we
we're
were
talking about.
thinking is, you can direct me to do the town hall. We will continue to seek feedback, and then congruently doing these other three things so that we can start working and for getting the documents ready to move forward. So, and I gave you a motion that includes all four of those things.
Because even if we don't go with Chris and his plan, having the other things ready to go would, if somebody else were to come with a plan that we said, you know, Chris, this isn't working, but this other one does, we're in a better position either way.
Well, we already went through the RFP, so that's why Chris is doing it. So-
okay, but
we
we
don't have-
we may get to a point in contract
In the
negotiations and
Yeah.
agreement that we can't agree on
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
And then we'd have to start over again on the process.
But like Ken's saying, we would have had some of those other things underway, the zoning, the rezoning and the
rezoning, yeah.
other pieces, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so from my perspective, you have a couple options here. I'm looking, the next step is town hall. From the town hall, we hear from the public. We then make a decision whether or not to proceed with contract negotiation. Not go with selecting them, but go into contract negotiation and work out the specifics on what this project will bring to us and the agreements needed.
And that will need to be included in that town hall very clearly, what, like we've kind of referenced some of those things. That would need to be included of what would be in the contract negotiations.
Well, at
So
least
the
some of
town-
it.
Some of it,
I-
the town
you know,
hall needs to know
We don't know what
that.
we don't know, as
Right.
people here not having gone through this. So
Right.
to me, this is gonna take some expertise on the legal side and perhaps the housing side.
Well, yeah,
To be able to
but
pull in the expertise to
Right.
help package.
what I'm referencing is at that town hall, they need to hear the question, like Tara asked about, well, or Clayton, whomever, if it's resold, what happens?
Correct.
You know, those kind of things need to be, however we'll present that, or who presents that, that needs to happen at that town hall.
And
All
even
of
if-
those pieces.
Well, I would
Well,
suggest-
even if he doesn't have an answer,
Right.
this is a question
These are the
that we'll
things,
get an answer
these are the things
eventually.
we're going to get answers to. Yeah,
Exactly. We will
right.
receive feedback
Yes.
for you to be able to hear people's questions, concerns, and then we can start developing the contract accordingly.
Right, but what I'm saying is at the town hall, we need to present some of those things that we are going to be negotiating, because Otherwise, they're gonna be like, well, what are you, you're just gonna do it? You know, we need to say, in the contract negotiations, these are some of the things of which we will be pursuing. I don't think we wait until they tell us to do that. I
I
mean,
feel like maybe I'm getting a little granular already in terms of what the units look like, and have we made a decision that I missed that we're giving this land to them?
No, you haven't decided, no.
Maybe, to me, that's the sort of big picture stuff that we need to talk about in the town hall, like what,
I'm gonna raise my hand here. Okay, the proposal says you have to give me the land.
It's already done.
So
yeah,
if that is off the
we
table.
need,
can
Bob,
you
we need
stand
you,
up here? Come up here, come, Bob,
Okay.
Bob, come up
All
here.
right.
so that
Say
people
that
can
again.
hear.
The proposal that you all have, okay, says that the land has to be conveyed for free.
Yes.
To
And
make,
I agree with that.
to
but
make
it's-
this work.
It's how it's conveyed has to be written into the contract.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we would do. We would do a phased conveyance, the ordinance would be a phased conveyance tied to development milestones. If you don't want to give them the land, this is dead.
No, we're not moving on.
Then we
from that.
just stop.
I'm not suggesting that we move off of it, I just, to me, that's the big picture stuff that needs to be communicated in a town hall meeting, not what rate the apartments are gonna rent for. You know, that seems a little bit too granular to me.
Well,
Yeah,
people,
I don't-
but
people
people
wanna
are
know
gonna
that.
have questions of,
Of course,
you know, is
yes.
it a two-bedroom, is it a one-bedroom? Some of that, there's different levels of
And
this.
people don't
We're just
understand
forgetting that-
60% of AMI, what does that mean?
No one's seen,
Correct.
no one has seen the proposal that we have seen. No one in the community has seen that, correct?
Unless they got it off the website, it's been published for 3 days.
But that's why we would do the town hall meeting, so they can see
Correct.
this.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying, is that's the bigger picture stuff I feel like needs to be communicated in the town hall meeting.
I would recommend, sorry to keep butting
No.
in here.
No,
I would
Please do.
recommend that you schedule a town hall meeting, have Chris come and give the presentation and get feedback.
Yes.
That's what the town hall meeting is about.
Because we've already voted, and we've had meetings with public that said, we plan on giving 16 acres to some developer to do workforce housing. So the public is aware of that. I mean, that's been out there for quite a long time.
October.
What it looks like is another matter, and that's where Chris would, but I think we still need to refresh
Yeah, we're not
people's
gonna get,
memory of that.
yeah, we're not getting into the weeds about the design, that's up to them, that's not up to us.
Well, and again, this was a presentation to you all, because that was the next step. I think the appropriate thing is to then, we're gonna do a town hall and let the public come. And let them hear and let them ask questions, and we'll get Chris to come, and if you want us to do multiple, we'll do multiple. But I just think that that's important, so that the public hears, gets to see all the things that you guys got to see.
I would suggest a bigger venue, just in case.
A big way.
A bigger venue, just in case.
Okay.
Because if everybody comes out, you only seat 99 in here, I don't know if this is gonna be a hot button issue with people, like in Exmoor. That was a disaster. You know, I mean, so, you know, I've been talking about it for a long time. I know Clayton has, Paul has. I mean, couple of years, now that we have the opportunity.
It's been
And that's why
discussed-
that's why this whole town hall thing came
discussed at
about.
Historic District Civic League meetings
Yeah.
a couple of times. This is not
The
the
business district,
Is,
Main
so
Street.
the plan is to give them the land and they are gonna pay for the sewer
Sewer, yeah.
lines? Because at the last meeting we had, there was discussion about how that was gonna work. And now that discussion seems to have evaporated, and now we're
The
saying.
grant disappeared.
yeah, we didn't get the
the-
grant.
The grant disappeared.
The grant disappeared, that's fine, but, so now they are indeed going to pay for that sewer.
Well, they'd have
So
to
he
do an
agreed from the
official,
very- He agreed from the very beginning that he was gonna do it. In his proposal,
Yeah,
he
he
was
did.
like the only one that agreed to do it.
yeah.
We came back to him because Congress.
We were trying to help them out.
Higgins.
Came to us and said, hey, we think that you should apply for this. We did, we weren't selected. And so he knew that, and he also was like, oh, that's great, I would love that. But he also knew that if he didn't get it, he would be fully responsible, but he committed to do it from the very
Right.
beginning.
and he may proffer other things. You know, he hasn't given us an official proffer yet, I assume, right? So,
There's been no rezoning application filed.
for him to proffer on, right?
Correct.
Now, just talking about the grant, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be asking Virginia Housing or DHCD to come to the table, as
Yes.
Katie had suggested, to explore what is out there from their perspective.
Yes.
I know a bill had been passed where the legislature put monies aside to fund infrastructure to support housing. I don't know who's setting that up. I think it's coming through DHCD, but I don't know. It's maybe too early
Early,
to
like
know.
when that
but
opens
we
up.
want to get to the door first if there is monies there.
Yeah.
That would be.
Especially for the type of housing.
But wouldn't that be something he would apply for, or we would have?
Well, we could work in parallel with
It
it.
might be it could be one of the issues where the town has to be
Be
the
the
Applicant.
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 And especially
we-
because we're an opportunity zone,
Yeah.
Okay.
our municipality is what would get us up in the ranks. But yes,
Okay, I'm just thinking from
Yeah.
a workload
And then we'd
standpoint.
have to do a budget amendment, because if we.
Right.
have to
Yeah.
plan-
That's right.
Yeah, because it's just money coming in and money going out.
yeah.
So, I'm sorry, there's been so many meetings and there's a lot of moving parts. But John Dempster was here, and there was discussion about that sewer line making its way out to 13. And I know that that's not something we've got to be concerned about, but is there still communication on that? I don't know what happened with that piece.
That won't have anything to do with this.
Well, it could. It
could.
could. And the county is interested, and they will come to the table, but we gotta take the first step.
Yeah, but,
Right.
so that, yes, and I guess this is where we're giving a lot away. We're giving this land away, we're meeting a need that's not just for Cape Charles, but for the entire county. I'm looking for the county to kind of come in and, no,
They will be interested in taking it from our property line out to Route 13.
yes.
That's where they'll show interest.
They'll take the next leg.
But we really need to decide on ourselves whether we get to our property line.
Terry,
begin with.
it's two separate things, to be honest.
Yes, I see that. But aren't we under some
Yeah, but the
Isn't
sewer
it
should-
on our
sewer should go that way.
list of achievables to renegotiate with the county on some,
That's
Tax.
That's
on
taxes
retail
with-
tax.
I understand, but isn't this a leverage point? The county wants us to have a sewer line that would be something that they can
Well,
tap into.
well,
to
that part of it,
extend.
yes, but not
Right.
this part. You know, as far as negotiation goes, yes, when they want to go from where we're going out, then there may be, because we've invested that
Quite
length
Except
of
that
it.
doesn't
don't
that-
own it
that
anymore, guys.
Doesn't that sewer line have to be a certain size?
That's right.
So,
Terry, I think
But we
if
don't-
we
we
move
don't own
forward,
the sewer
it
anymore.
causes us to then start a different conversation with the county.
correct.
But if you guys don't move forward with this now, then
That's-
that is.
And I'm
dead
right,
water.
and please don't misunderstand, I'm not trying to say don't move forward, I'm trying to say, aren't there some sort of pressure points here
This will
that,
start the ball rolling in a whole different discussion.
with the county?
Yep.
Great, I just wanna make sure that we're doing that because we're, like I say, we're giving away a lot here, and it's going to solve a problem for the county too.
If I may also as well, this would put the county under a clock themselves.
That's right.
To step up to the table and move forward.
Be
If
ready.
they want an expanded or
Yep.
an increased line capacity.
So,
Thank you, yes.
So that otherwise, we will move, if you guys are in favor, we will move forward. So if they miss the clock, they've missed the clock.
yeah.
Great,
This
okay.
project is really important for the county too, though.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to say, and that's why we should be using it as a leverage point.
I don't wanna misunderstand that point, because these are two separate things, but the ball rolls fast. We've been having many discussions, and yes, this is huge for the town, huge for the county. This will start the ball rolling for more discussions.
Yeah, because they'll have to because of the sewer that's going put in. They've got to accommodate for that at this
Because
facility
it is-
and plan for it for the other way, which will change.
If
Yes.
his line is
Sizes.
only, gonna be necessary for a 4-inch line, but a 4-inch line will not be enough to go all the way out there.
Nope.
So there's a lot of planning early on that they're gonna have to be involved in order to size the line appropriately to go all the way out.
Correct, so it's a pressure point for the county and maybe an opportunity for us to use that pressure point for some other discussions.
Absolutely.
So this is a weird question. The land right now we own, and we're going to, I forget what the word is, convey it to them, but it's located in the county.
No,
It's not.
Like
It's town.
how do we
This
go
land
on
is
the other, in the town?
Incorporated
Okay, and it will
limits. It's
stay
ours.
that when we give it away?
Right.
We're gonna get,
It's still,
okay.
you're
It'll
not
still be in the
changing
town.
the bounds of the town of Cape
Okay.
Charles, it's still within the town of Cape Charles.
We're gonna get
Bender's
taxes
Lane
from
is,
Okay,
And so-
everybody let's settle down. I
Ben-
was just
Ben-
asking a question.
Bender's Lane is the county.
There might be other people that would ask such a question. Settle down.
Bender's Lane,
Yes, I know,
That's
I
county.
understand. I just, with us giving it away, I just wanted to make sure that would stay the same.
It's just a change of ownership.
Yes.
No boundary adjustments.
Okay.
Would it be possible for us to get some estimates on, once this is built out, what sort of tax revenue it would then generate back to the
it'll
town?
be based on the market value of tax assessments.
That's where,
Because I think that's an important
that's what I was
piece as
getting
well.
to, is
I
that,
did
yeah.
it for the county, and at their current tax rates, they'll make it back in less than 3 years.
They,
If they, we used this was preparatory for the Kiggins potential grant, that we had to come up with $300,000, something like that match, and they would make that back within 3 years if they put up the money. So this is a tax
Yes.
generator.
this is a boon for them, yes.
Well, as well as us,
Yes,
okay?
absolutely, absolutely.
So I can easily plug in our tax rate in the spreadsheet and give it that to you.
Yes, we should have that for the town meeting.
So while I'm here being a jerk, I would really encourage you, I know you want to do the public hearing, and that's great because we have to get the public feedback. But I would really encourage you not to do this in sequence, okay? You heard what it takes to get this thing rolling, okay? And it's a long process. And I would urge you to allow the town manager to do this in parallel. Start the process of negotiation with the developer to bring you a proposed development contract. Start the process of creating an ordinance for the phased transfer of the property, as well as start negotiations on who is going to do the rezoning application and what it's going to entail, in parallel with holding a public input session.
Because the public input test is going to be done way before the contract negotiation.
Way before.
Yeah, so
Way
we'll get the feedback to them, and they could adjust their contract. based
Way
on whatever.
before any of those three things.
Correct.
So long as those 3 things would still be
Right.
able to be amended as necessary, given the public feedback.
Right.
Okay,
Well, and,
that's- I mean, that's
and
my
also
concern.
in the town hall, we talked
Public
about
input
Chris
will
coming
much
and presenting,
faster.
but
Those
then we
others
need to
take
present
forever.
what it means in the rezoning and all those pieces, because that's not his job to present the things that we're gonna be going through. And that's where that public needs to learn about that, even though we're gonna be working on the process simultaneously.
I mean,
Due
Katie-
diligence, essentially, which makes sense, yes.
But I think Katie will be able to handle that aspect of it.
Yes, yeah,
Because
oh, yeah,
it's
absolutely.
just going to use what we did right next door.
And I do want to get clear, Chris would be the applicant for eventual rezoning. It would be a joint application
Yes.
between the town
Yeah.
and Chris.
Right.
As a potential
Oh, absolutely, but I think we can explain
Yes.
what this person needs to go through in order for it to happen.
Yeah, we're not going to be doing
And the
it.
steps the council
Yes.
needs to take.
Right.
for
Just the
disposing
whole
of property.
overview of it all.
And again, through a rezoning application, as you may recall, that's one public hearing with the planning commission, one public hearing with the town council. And yes, potentially there could be a proffer that comes with that rezoning application. So there's a lot that we gotta start working on. That's not gonna happen in the next 20 days. Trust me.
So another thing too, it was in your summarized version, but, not only at town hall, but there's like 6 public hearings.
Yeah.
So the public will have plenty of opportunity to hear and understand and give feedback. So this is not just one and then everything's done and no one gets to know what's going on. There's lots of interaction.
And even as what Chris said, even if this went full bore, it's still gonna be 2 years before it probably breaks ground, if not longer. So this is not gonna happen overnight.
Tell me why, and I'm just exploring the space, why we would give the property and not like a 99-year lease or something like
Because
that?
that's what we put in the RFP.
Yeah, that was one of the conditions that you identified early on in your RFP document that went out. So that's a commitment you,
To give the property. We already did that. Okay, it's too
Yeah.
late. That ship has sailed?
Yeah.
yeah.
That's,
Because it would make it rather hard to sell a property.
If you change that term, that may change your respondent's position.
Well, it also just makes it harder to make it affordable.
okay.
I mean, this is a challenge, even giving him the property. It's a challenge.
Right. It's equal partnerships kind of coming into it, to the table to make it happen, to keep it at a workforce level.
Yeah, if we could get some grants relative to the sewer, that could perhaps reduce the, right?
Cost.
So that's what I'm saying, we need to keep pushing through.
Yeah, because if we get grants, that'll definitely help reduce the cost of
Of
the
the
building.
units.
Yeah, which will, could potentially keep the rents down and the cost down for resale
But
or sale.
we would factor that into a contract. If we're able to bring, for every X number of dollars we bring in for a grant, they must go down in, okay. The rents or the rents, okay.
So I'd agree with you with working in parallel to a certain point. I still am to a point where we need to get a contract not signed, but close to signing, before I bring a PUD or whatever to a planning commission, because I don't want to waste time going through that exercise if we can't reach a contract negotiations. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's certain stages of it, yeah.
Your staff is fully in support of that. I would not want this to go to a PUD hearing
Right,
until your development contract terms
right,
are
okay,
negotiated.
okay.
So much for free
So
time.
basically on this sheet with the bulleted items, we'd go 1, 2, pause until we get that accomplished, and then we'd move to 3, 4.
I don't have that sheet, so I don't know. Sorry.
It says right
But
It
again,
sounds really good.
we said 3 and 4, you can start preparing and having those documents ready and just
Right.
hold them. It
Yeah.
says you can't do that.
Yeah, 1 and 2, 1, town hall, schedule town hall for public.
Right.
2, negotiate developmental contract.
Right.
That's because then that spells out how we're gonna do the others.
Yes.
And then the next one is start proposing the ordinance. The ordinance is gonna be based on how we do the developmental agreement. And then the last one would be the rezoning, which will be a joint partnership.
Between planning and council.
All right, do we need to talk about that or make a motion, or do we just move on and let's,
Make a motion.
Motion.
I'll make a motion that we follow those 4 steps that I just outlined, with steps 3 and 4 contingent on negotiating a contract.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hands off.
All right.
And we will use our legal, we will look to guidance from Virginia Housing, we will use everything we can to make this thing efficient, effective.
You would spend all of next year's legal budget.
Yeah.
So I need more money.
Gotta wait for the houses to come on to collect the taxes. All right, B's been pulled because there was lack of information. C, resolution to adopt text amendment 2026-01 Chesapeake Bay Preservation Act. Is that you, Katie?
It is me, and this was a carryover from your meeting, was it last week?
Yep.
Yes.
Last week, sorry. I apologize, I had omitted including the ordinance for you to actually adopt from the public hearing at the last meeting of the zoning text amendment 2026-01, I believe that's where we are right now.
Yes.
So that is before you this evening to formally, hopefully close the gap and have you accept the public hearing that you did last week. So.
Wait a minute. No, I'm not reading it. No, I have to.
So, Mr. Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance 2026-0430.
Second.
All right. I move for the adoption of ordinance 2026-0430, amending Cape Charles Town Code, Chapter 32 zoning ordinance, Article 7, Chesapeake Bay Preservation Area Overlay District, and related updates to Appendix A definitions and Appendix C site plan ordinance to ensure compliance with the state laws regarding the Chesapeake Preservation Act, as noted, and forego reading of the ordinance. Roll call
Hold on, I
vote.
had a question,
Oh.
okay, just a simple one. In the write-up here, it said Planning Commission had a majority vote on 4-7. Do you recall if anybody opposed that, or as opposed to unanimous?
I don't remember,
Okay.
that's just the language we
Okay,
throw in
okay,
there.
all right,
So.
all right, that's all I have.
All right, roll call vote. Ashworth,
Yes.
Buckles, yes. Buda,
Yes.
Grossman,
Yes,
Holloway,
Yes.
Newman.
Yes.
All right, that passed. All right. Town manager comments.
Okay, so, thank you, everyone. It was a great meeting. There's a lot of work that's gone into this. And, thank you, Bob, and David, for your inputs as well. Question I have for you is, you know, in regards to the matter that was pulled, things have been done differently in the past. However, we're trying to make sure everything is done according to code and Virginia state law and everything. And one of the things that's become very clear is, I'm seeking your opinion. And so instead of having all that, I'm just gonna do it during my time right here, is there interest, is there appetite to look at this parcel that Eric was describing? It's the one that's beside our boat ramps. It's the same, it's a flat piece of property that where the seaplane comes in, there's a little dock that he parks. It's that property right above that, in that same area. Does the council have appetite for staff to pursue RFPs for proposals for that piece of property, where we could lease it? I know in our master plan, our previous master plan, there was a drawing ideas to move our harbor master office there. You know, it could be a number of things in that location where we're talking about. So it's in our previous master plan. It'll probably show up again in our upcoming master plan for that location, because the Berkeley Group is already aware of that, and you know they're seeing these things. So I wouldn't be surprised if it gets also targeted as a potential site for a future harbor master office area. But I think the question I have for you all is there appetite to look at proposals for other people to do a lease agreement to use the land, kind of like the shanty? We would not be conveying the land, we wouldn't give it away, we would just seek proposals to see ideas of what that land could be used for, or that people could do a lease agreement with it. Is there appetite for that?
I would offer that we've got a priority list that's chock full that the staff is working on. And I've got a railroad master plan that's being undertaken, that's until that occurs through November, December. I'm not interested in pursuing this at this time.
I would agree with that. especially if we have something going on for, it's gonna be proposed for our own future use. Which it has been for how many years? 20? It's been a long time.
I would say that in the context of the timing of what we're already in the midst of, it would be premature to make any commitments or move in a direction about that, although I don't know that we should be just shutting the door on things in general just because we're already busy. I mean, I get now there's just too much on that plate in terms of like this master plan for this whole area, not just the railroad property, but property that's already owned by other entities. But I mean, I do feel like we should be open to entertaining concepts and ideas that people bring to us, but maybe not right this minute, I guess is what I would say.
Well, at any time, we're welcome, but again, it's got to be evaluated against our list of priorities, and if it feels something needs to be moved down and this in, we're all for that.
Right. Well, I'm kind of like most things I feel like that we get asked about. I don't know anything about this, so I don't really know
Right.
much about what we're talking about. And I know we took it off the agenda, so I don't really, I mean, I get that there was the idea of relocating a structure to that property, but beyond that, I don't really know how big a piece of property that is, what the potential is for that property, whether there's even available parking to facilitate a business being located. I don't know anything about it, so.
Let me give it a little bit more clarity. I think the difficulty that I have is that normally in a situation, someone would give you a proposal,
Right.
and then we would go and have an executive discussion about it, executive session to discuss this proposal. In this case, it's an idea, and that, you know, Aaron does not want this to be in the public about his idea, because then somebody else could do it. He also knows that the code requires that we do RFP. So then somebody could hear his proprietary information and then undercut him in some way. So it's like, we don't want that to happen, but it's a proposal. You know, it's an idea that he would like to share with you.
But if he did a proposal and we did an executive session,
but
then it's not public.
Yeah, but then that's where this super majority takes place, because this is waterfront,
Yes.
and lease agreements are also under conveyance
No,
too.
in my mind, we should listen to proposals.
Proposals,
Even in
yes.
executive session, but we don't have to make a decision.
And we wouldn't make a decision.
And, you know, but,
Doesn't have to be executive.
you know, if someone does not want to do it out in the public, fine, bring your ideas, but not an idea. Give us a real proposal.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's what you would prefer, I can have that set up.
That's certainly my preference. I can't say if I'm interested in something or
Yeah,
not,
right.
if I have absolutely no idea what we're talking about. I don't even have, I'm not even sure I can visualize exactly where
space.
it is. Yes,
Right.
so, yes, to come to us with a proposal in an executive session that we can then make a decision on yay or nay, even if it's yay but not yet or something, I'm much more comfortable.
Or yay, but issue an RFP.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking to have a
Right.
Yes.
proposal come in,
Yes.
and in the executive section, just say.
Right.
"Oh,
Absolutely.
that's good."
I guess I'm the only one that knows that was.
Is
gonna
that,
be,
just out of curiosity, like, is
thought
that what
process.
we did with the shanty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we knew there was an interest in it for a particular
Well,
use,
it was a proposal,
Mm-hmm.
right?
and then we put out an
RFP.
and we only got one proposal.
Right. So what was the process of us, or the town at the time, first hearing about the proposal before it went to
Way back
RFP?
a long time ago.
No one was
The,
watching this door.
I don't remember whether it was an
Me.
executive session first.
I'm not saying we did everything
or not.
right before.
But
Yeah, I don't
there is a
recall.
process that
Yeah.
you have to go through by the Virginia Code.
Right.
You can't just award a sole
Yeah.
source franchise. It has to be a
Yes.
competitive process.
Sure.
Right.
So we would follow all those steps. But I don't remember exactly what happened
Okay, so
the first time.
what I'm hearing is I will tell him to create a proposal, and we will call for executive session for you to listen to it.
And could you give him sort of a framework that the proposal should include, you know, these kinds of things? Not just a sketch and, you know, and then he just says, I think I want to do this.
I already know that.
Yeah. And also that then the next step would be that we would do an RFP so that he knows
He is aware of
the
that.
process,
We
okay.
talked about that.
just trying to think about what you're really asking is what should the process look like? Like, I
Yes.
remember when Chris
Yeah,
first had this idea.
Right.
yes.
He brought it to us kind of one or
Two
two
by
at a
twos,
time,
Mm-hmm.
without having an executive session per se.
Right.
I mean, are we still able to entertain that type
We
of
can do that,
conversation?
definitely.
Where like somebody says, hey, I'd like to float an idea past you to see if there's any appetite for it, and if so, we then decide, well, yeah, that's fantastic, let's put together an RFP and let's see what happens.
I didn't love the way that was done,
Yeah,
I'll be
I'm
honest.
just asking
I,
questions.
Right.
I
That's
didn't,
correct.
I didn't really care for that very much. So if we could just do an executive session, I value all of your input, and we ask different questions, and then I hear the answers and vice versa, and I may ask something. I just don't love that, even though it was efficient in some ways for him. I don't know, I just,
I've got direction. Also, just to remind our upcoming May 7th council meeting, we'll have an executive session at 5 p.m. in my office, where we will discuss matters with Davenport, and then we will reconvene here at 7:30 for a budget work session. So everything will be resolved. We'll have a budget ready. It'll be beautiful.
it will be beautiful. And then
Big
on,
You just said 7:30, on here it says 7, is that?
No, so
it says 7:30 on the,
you might have an old, this is right here.
Let me
I'm just-
confirm.
You told me 7:30, so
Okay.
I changed it to
We
7:30.
pushed it to 7:30.
I think
I must
my
have saved
rationale
this.
was we would have
Yes.
several hours and not be rushing to get back.
Yeah.
here.
yes.
You downloaded it.
And then on May 14th, it doesn't say it on here, but it said it in our email, that we had a 5 o'clock and a 6 o'clock. Is that not right?
No.
So in our email, it says, on the 14th, it says a
That was
5
the
PM
town
town hall public meeting.
Oh, that was a placeholder.
Okay, well, I'm
That's if
just,
we were
I'm
to
just saying,
do
so
the-
that doesn't
And
exist? Or does
Well,
exist?
it's a placeholder. I could talk to Chris to see if that
Okay.
would work with him.
Okay. I was just trying to get my
Yes.
schedule straight.
But in general, I'm not a fan
Me either.
of
The same
town
night.
halls, and then an hour later, sort of a decision gets made. It certainly gives the impression that we're not listening to what people are saying.
Well, what's in the special meeting? Is it related to the town hall?
So the
Yeah.
special meeting is for the final beachfront master plan.
Yeah,
That's different.
It's
than
different.
with
No, but it says action for Coastal Vista Properties
Yeah.
Workforce Housing Proposal.
Well, that's what I put down.
I know, but we would, what's
No.
Ken's saying is we don't wanna, we don't
Right,
want
but
them on the
Not on
same
the same night.
night.
There's no way we would be ready.
he's got to do the contract.
Yeah, so that email was kind of free
Okay,
thoughts.
all right.
Okay.
That, I had the same thought as Ken, is that not the same night, but,
Yeah.
Whether it's this topic or others, I do agree
Exactly,
with you.
right,
Like,
yeah.
no.
when you do it the same night, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
okay, thanks,
We won't do
we've
that.
already
Yeah.
decided.
We won't.
Okay, all right.
So the
Come on,
14th,
Bob,
we
you're
have
fast.
2 meetings as well, still? Or
That's what
just
we're
the
trying to
one?
clarify.
Based up here, it says just the one, correct?
Based on my announcements, we have one meeting on the 14th, and then May 21st, we have one town
But I-
hall regular meeting
no,
at 6.
I thought what we just
That's-
said is that the 14th would be, the 5 o'clock would be the town hall, 6 o'clock would be the beach master plan, and that's it, not,
That's
Right?
what I was proposing in the email.
So we would have
The
to-
agenda went out before.
I know, we're just trying to get our schedules clarified, that
It works.
that's what we're doing,
We could
right?
potentially need more than an hour. I mean, I know you don't want to cut people off in the middle of a town hall meeting if they have questions. Now, if it's this kind of,
You just did.
Well,
But still.
we could say special meeting to follow the town hall or something like that, right? Libby, we could list it that way?
Mhm. But unfortunately, with our agenda management system, I have to put in a time.
Yeah, well,
So
you
I
know.
just have to estimate something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the 14th.
Well,
That's-
you're also gonna have, the consultant for the beachfront master plan here. too.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you gotta kind of.
And I think that's gonna be a little bit longer meeting, since
Mhm.
it's gonna be a refresher for many of you,
Mm-hmm.
and next steps too.
It needs to be in this building. I know somebody mentioned maybe a larger space, but you need to keep it here for the video and recording.
Yeah,
But that's beachfront, not workforce.
so for the town hall also,
Both.
The first one is
You-
workforce.
It would be town hall for the workforce.
I'm so sorry.
5 o'clock to,
I'm-
5
I'm-
o'clock is the town hall on the
Let's-
14th.
5 o'clock is the town hall on the 14th, and the topic is,
Workforce housing.
Workforce housing.
Housing.
thank you. When is the beach one?
6
That
to
special
follow.
meeting,
That's
6
at
o'clock.
6. Thank you. Okay,
But that's a special meeting, not a town hall.
yes, thank you. That's what I had.
One of the reasons why we wanted to separate it, because we were trying to make sure, one, we're saying we want public feedback.
Yes,
The other one is not for public feedback. This is final approval
Right.
now.
Yes.
And
yes,
so we don't want to have, like, we're starting over and people think that they can just give comments.
right.
They will have their 3 minutes.
They will have their, yes,
Right,
yeah.
that's fine.
And we will have that information publicly shared prior to. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that 14, because I had 2 different times.
All right. Any questions for me?
Council, anybody who's got, Clayton, have anything?
Since you're both in the room, are there any updates on getting the beach pavilion spruced up for the summer? Have you gotten a proposal from Coastal Craftsman?
I'll start and then you add. So, yes, we did receive that. However, we have not figured out when we would start this project. It's in the budget for next year, actually.
Okay.
So when we put it in the budget, it's actually in there. But we would have to follow, getting other bids, and we haven't. As
Okay.
far as priorities go, it's just not been one we can work on right
So it would be more of a September project.
now. No, not necessarily. It probably could move forward, but Ralph is out of town.
But it
Or
could
not
forward,
now, sorry,
if it's
sick.
next fiscal year, that would be July 1.
July 1.
Yeah.
So we don't
We
want
could-
it
we
underway
could
in
have
July
the-
1.
We could get the bids ready
Right.
before that, so it would be a little bit more decisive of when that project would start. We could start it sooner, we just have to get the other bids.
Okay.
And there's a formal contract that they have to, what they submitted was not the one that we could receive.
Okay.
So there's a little bit more involved, and after talking to Bob, he showed me the state contracts. And so it's a little bit more involved than just asking someone, hey, can you give me a quote? Even though the scope is very good and helpful, but it's a little bit more involved. Ralph he's sick right now, and he's gonna be out the next 2 weeks. So that puts us back a little bit of trying to move things forward, although his crew is sufficient. Been talking to them regularly, but we just haven't been able to move forward with it.
Sure.
Okay.
I have something. So just in case you're not aware, HGTV is here filming in Bay Creek. Cape Charles is going to be on another show 6 to 8 months from now. So that
like the
started
6th time?
today. It'll be the 8th time, actually.
Jeez.
But it's a different show. Penny Holland is working with the crew on the house that is in Bay Creek. So that's exciting.
The one that's for sale.
And it was the house for that is for sale. It's a Chesapeake Realtor that will be on the show itself. Just wanted to give a kudos to Katie and her team and Jack on the Harbor Community Engagement Program. That was just fabulous. Hopefully you got lots of good comments. It seemed full every time I looked over there. So congratulations. That's a really good demonstration of our community engagement, so we appreciate it. And then congratulations to CCMS and the town partnering with them to pull off an amazing Love Run, 550 runners, which is 150 more than the past. And I am certain, because I could see all the people walking to different houses, our occupants, our tot tax will be up for that weekend and meals tax and stuff like that. So I thought it was just it felt like a summer weekend of all the activities.
There was a question of whether that was a sanctioned race or not.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
They had to do this one this year, and the company that does it is feeling pretty good about that. The bike path will help, because they'll be able to use that as
Oh.
a part of the sanction, so it's getting closer to that, for sure.
I'm pretty sure they'll have to have a half marathon
Yeah.
for that.
So, yeah, that's all I have.
Can you have anything?
Yeah, I want to add a little bit more about the Harbor Rail Yard master planning. Even though on Friday, with the pouring down rain, we still had a ton of people there. And just so that, if anybody's watching, The idea is that we're gonna create a design guidebook for people who may want to then develop some of this land when it becomes available for sale. And so we were looking at what would go in different places, what might they look like, all these things which we received a lot of great feedback on, what the road system would look like. If you haven't seen that stuff, please go on the town website, look at those documents. If you have questions, any of us can help you with that and walk you through that. But this is one of the most important things we will be doing in shaping the future of Cape Charles. And so we want to get feedback, we want to get some opinions, so I think it went well, and I think that the Berkeley Group got a lot of good information from that.
Paul, you got anything? Tara? All right, can you get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.